All right. So within a hip hop mix, there's three really main, very important elements. Well, in my opinion, three to get right first, and then everything else will kind of fit in around it. Um, I suppose that's true for about maybe 99%, 90 to 99% of the hip hop songs that I mix. So those three things are the drums, the bass, and the vocals. So following that formula, we're going to jump into the drums first and making sure that that low end is, powerful and right there, right where it needs to be, and stays there solid for the whole track. Um, so let's take a listen to the kick drum that we started with, and then I'll go into all of the extra things that we added to make it what we ended up with. So here's the kick just by itself. All right, it's kind of lacking. It's lacking something. It's lacking some bottom end, but I don't want to just boost. I don't want to just EQ it. It needs more punch. It needs a few things, and I'm going to achieve that by layering a few samples onto it. So let's open up these kick tracks that I've got here. These are this kick 2, kick 3, and an 808. Now, as far as the routing goes, they're all going through this kick bus, and on that kick bus, I'm going to add a bunch of stuff so that they're all processed together. And that just helps kind of give them glue and make them all sound pretty much like one instrument or one sound. So let's take a look here in the edit window what's going on with these kicks. So I've got kick 1, which is the original, or kick, which is the original. Kick 2 is a sample. Kick 3 is the same sample, just on a different track and actually happening in different areas. And this 808 is just an 808 sample that's happening at the same time the samples are happening on kick 3. So the reason for splitting up kick 2 and kick 3 is, well, let's just take a listen to this sample and you can see. So this sample that I brought in, kick 2, well, it's just an extra kick sample. Check it out. It's got a lot more girth and it's got it, down on the bottom. Where this kick 1 is lacking. That one's definitely got it. However, I don't want the low end of that sample fighting with the 808 that I've added. So check out the 808. So let's hear these three together. So let's add this other one. All right, so that's the three together, the three samples together. So first off, really what we want to do is pull out any of the low end out of the first kick, because I don't want that fighting with the bass from kick 2 and kick 3. And I pulled out a little bit of the top end. Let me move this over here. Pulled out a little bit of the cymbal. There's a weird little cymbal going on in here. So I want some of the mid-range, some of the punch of the mid, but not the low of the, anything underneath. What did I choose? 153. So next we are going to compress it a little bit just to kind of help it get a little punch. And then moving on to kick 2 and kick 3, they're pretty identical as far as the processing, except I took out a little bit more bass from kick 3 because remember, the bass is going to be coming from the 808, when kick 3 hits. So first off, we've got the Oxford Dynamics, and I'm just using this as a gate. The gate is really, really fast, and this Oxford plugin from Sonox really has a nice fast gate. So the main reason for this is just to cut off, let me zoom in here, to cut off a little bit of this extra whoof on the end of that. So let's play you this sample. I'll show you what I mean. So that's with the gate engaged. Here's with the gate off. Let's with it on again, and with it off. So you really hear it. There's a little like whoop at the very end of that, and I just use the gate to take that off. Next we go down to the EQ, and I'm just rolling off anything below 50. So these are the very low lows. Check it out. All right, so not a huge difference, but it just makes it punchier. We don't really need any of those low lows in that kick 2 or kick 3, because the 808 is going to come in and rock us at like, between 40 and 50 hertz. It's going to rumble everything. So I don't want the whole hook, going crazy. So let me get this back into view. All right, next we've got a R bass, or the R bass from Waves. This is going to help add upper harmonics for anything below whatever frequency we've chosen here. So anything under 63 hertz is going to have an upper harmonic added onto it. And basically what that does is that's going to help this kick, and I've got it on the 808 as well. It's going to help these translate to smaller speakers that can't actually reproduce this 63 hertz. That's going to be anything from your iPhone to your iPad to your laptop. I mean, that can go down to maybe 100 or so. So anything below 63 is going to get the harmonic added on, which would be anything under 100, and it's going to add like up to 126 hertz. So, yeah, basically just to make it translate better. So let's check it out with that on and with that off, and I'll show you how I got to 7.5 is just pushing it up until you hear it too much, and then pulling it back down. So let's bypass it. All right, let's push it up. I'll pull it down first. You can hear it there, and you can hear it start to clip a little bit. Yeah, this is one of those things where it's really easy to push it too hard and then make it, you end up distorting your signal a little bit. So it's good to bypass, go back and forth between your original and the plugin, so you don't overdo it. Because like I said, it sounds really nice as you're pushing up that intensity, but it's really easy to overdo it. So, all right. So basically, if we go over to kick 3, the same plugins are on kick 3. Get it selected here. And they're the same settings except for the EQ. So the EQ I've got, it's rolling off over here at about 77 hertz. And that is really just because this 808 is coming in. Well, let's play them both together here. And I don't want that kick and the 808 to fight. So if we take out that roll off, put it back in. Basically, if I take everything under 7, and I just chose 77 because it sounded good, but anything under 77 hertz, take that out of the kick, then it's not fighting with the 808. So, and that's also why I split up kick 2 and kick 3, because I wanted kick 2 to have a little bit more bottom because it doesn't have the 808 behind it. So, and moving on to the plugins on the 808. You'll see the sound shifter here. That's a pitch shifting plugin. I'm going to talk at the end of the mixing videos. We're going to talk about some production techniques, and tuning the 808 is going to be one of them. So don't worry about that plugin for now. We will hit it kind of as a bonus at the end of this the mixing tutorials. So first off on here, I've got an R bass again. I wanted to add here again anything under about 66. Just wanted to add those upper harmonics so we can hear that 808 in the laptop or on the phone, or whoever's listening to it with, doesn't have a nice full range speaker. Now if we listen to that 808 by itself, it's kind of got some weird fuzz in it. So let's pull up the Cambridge EQ. All right, let's get back here. Hear that click, click? So we'll get rid of a little bit of that click, click. And rolling off anything under 50 hertz. So just took off the highs, back down to about 800. Let's go even further. That's really low. I found in the mix here, it sounded better actually putting in a little bit more of those low mids. Now, when I was going through and mixing this, I was constantly checking out my compression here. So let me move this back down here so we can still see the meter down here and see a lot more real estate up here. So we're hitting at about 4 or 5 dB. Like I said, I was constantly checking that to make sure I'm not hearing this bus compressor go buck wild. And I don't want that to affect the decisions I'm making on the plugins here on the individual channels. So let's move on to the next plugin on the kick subgroup. So next I've got a Studer A800, and I've got the reggae settings, 15 inches per second. This is a nice, really kind of bassy setting. It's perfect for this kind of kick drum 808 combo. So let's hear it bypassed, and then I'll drop it in. So that's just bypassed. Here it is in. You can really hear it adds really a nice round bass to the overall tone of the kicks and the snares. So, you know what? I think I'm going to pull down kick 1 a little bit. I think we want it down about right there. All right, next we've got the EQ3, and I'm just rolling off anything under 41, which is just a really low. Just pulling back, you know, the frequencies that are just muddying things up. And then next we added a little bit of 60 hertz to the whole mix. And I really like this new Pultec from Universal Audio. It has a way of boosting the low end that is just so crystal clear. You don't get any kind of weird artifacts or anything like that. A lot of times, you know, adding more bass to something, it creates some weird little phase issues, and it all of a sudden your extra clean bass is not extra clean anymore. So you don't get that with the Pultec, especially this new Pultec. This thing sounds just incredible. So we boosted at 60 with a fairly wide band, and then I used the attenuation knob, which turns down, I believe it's a little bit past 60. It turns down like 70 hertz or something like that. So it's kind of an overall, it's a really neat EQ. So let's check that out. And I also, you can't see it, it's off the screen here, but I did also pull the gain down just a little bit. So it kind of changes the overall balance. I'm giving it more low end and then pulling the whole thing down just a tad. So I kind of keep my gain structure the same. So when I bypass and unbypass, I'm not hearing one louder than the other. I'm really actually hearing the effect of the plugin rather than a huge level change. All right, and last but not least, I've got a limiter on here. And the limiter is really, it's really only limiting when the kick drums hit, when these two kicks hit. But since it's on the bus that holds the 808 as well, it's pushing down the 808 when the kicks are present. So it's really kind of helping glue them all together. Let's take a quick listen to it. Here's bypassed. And in. Now check it out when I pull it in and out. Keep your eye on the bus compressor here. Remember, this is on my master channel. So that really gives it a nice, just warmer, fuller tone. And it helps glue those three kick drums together. Well, the actual 4 tracks, but only 3 of them are playing at once. So yeah, that's what we ended up with the kicks. And I think it sounds great in the mix. So we don't have anything else really mixed yet, and we may come back and fiddle with it a little bit, but that's, for the most part, that's the kick drum. All right, the next video, we're going to jump into the snare and the rest of the percussion.